I want to start out by thanking everyone that worked on the concessions at the fair. We had a good turnout, and it was really great to have all the help. And several, I'm not going to name names because I'd forget somebody, but I know we had several people that worked several shifts, and it was wonderful. We did very well, grossed $13,000. So that's more than we did last year. We had a total of 443 man-hours.
Every once in a while we get a little mascot. We get a child that comes and helps or wants to hang out. And this little girl we've seen around the club for a long time. I don't know if the shirt's going to fit her. It looks a little tiny. But there was a vice president or someone wanted to give this little one a cute shirt that represents us. So for Amina, we have a little mini shirt for her. So and when she gets a little bigger, we probably got one of those youth shirts that she can wear. So anyway, here's our little mascot. Sometimes she sits in my chair and I'm thinking, no, you're not quite big enough yet to do that. So now I would like to turn this meeting over to Kurt Anagnostou, and he can introduce ourselves.
Thank you, President Marilyn, fellow Lions and guests. It gives me great pleasure to introduce today's speaker. Today's speaker is a longtime friend of mine. Being a fellow attorney, I can say that. He is originally from Portland. He went to the University of Portland, and then he went to Willamette University Law School. He came back here in 1988, started practicing law the same year I started practicing, and we came to know each other then. He is married to Appellate Court Judge Jill Johansson. Together they've raised 4 children here locally. He currently has Cascade Media, but he's here to talk about, he is a member, as you can tell, of the Sandbaggers, and as a Sandbagger he's been very involved in the Squirrel Fest. So he's here to tell us about Squirrel Fest. Would you give a warm welcome to Pat Kubin?
Hello, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Pat Kubin, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Squirrel Fest. I've brought all sorts of stuff. I think some of them have been passed out. Before we go there, a couple of remarks. You know, Kurt and I, when he says we've been friends a long time, we actually tried a case against each other that was probably the most difficult family law case either of us ever did. And it's remarkable that we became friends after that. Another thing I would like to say is I'd like to give a happy buck. I have 4 children, and my oldest boy, Willie, his wife just gave birth to our first grandchild. So at the ripe old age of 56, I'm a grandfather. All right. So Kurt is going to go through a few of these pictures. These are just random photos of Squirrel Fest, just to give you an idea of the festival. Let me start out by saying that Squirrel Fest historically occurs on the 3rd Saturday of August. Unfortunately, this year that fell on the 20th. And because a bunch of the members of our group, when we had our meeting in January, I think it was January, and a lot of people said, look, that's too late. That's several days later than usual. Why don't we just move it back a week? Big mistake. So I apologize. I have apologized to Relay for that. This will not happen again. And we encourage, we intend to have some donation places at Squirrel Fest for Relay. We will be encouraging people to participate in Relay, and in fact I think we are on our website and on our Facebook page. And so please accept my apologies for that. It was unintentional. As you know, as people who work for your community and do service to your community, all the best intentions in the world are sometimes derailed by just failing to think something through. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why Squirrel Fest? Well, as you know, Longview kind of has a reputation for squirrels. This started a long time ago when Amos Peters was working in the Park Plaza building there at the Civic Circle, and he got tired of seeing squirrels getting squished by cars. Now remember, this was the early 1960s when you didn't need a permit to do anything. And so what he did is he did what any other guy like him would do. He just went and put up a squirrel bridge. Had his guys build it. They used a fire hose for the deck of the bridge, and they put it up. And remarkably, the city didn't blink an eye. It was like, oh, that's kind of nice, okay. And so it was quickly dubbed the Nutty Narrows Bridge, as you know. And that bridge was just this year put into the National Historic Register because it is now over 50 years old, and we're very proud of that. So then Amos Peters joined the Sandbaggers, which was formed a few years later, and he was a member for many, many years. When he passed away, a squirrel statue was commissioned, which you're all familiar with. The Sandbaggers have taken it upon themselves to be the keepers of the bridge and the squirrel, and so the squirrel has been rebuilt, recarved twice now, I believe, since it was originally put up. That's our job. And we've taken down the Netting Narrows Bridge a couple of times and repaired it and put it back up. So that's the background. Longview has a lot of people who take sides on squirrels. Some people really love squirrels. I live in the Old West Side. We got a lot of squirrels in my neighborhood. Some people really hate squirrels. And there are a lot of people kind of not sure about which side they're on. And we may have special bathrooms for them at Squirrel Fest. So, how did Squirrel Fest come about? Well, I believe the genesis was with Pat Kubin of Columbia Ford, who came up with this kind of idea to grow this idea of squirrels in Longview, that this was something that could put us on the map, so to speak. That idea, he was not a member of Sandbaggers at the time, though his dad was. And so that idea made its way to the Sandbaggers, and I was president at the time, and hey, that sounds like a great idea. Let's see what we can do with this. So we chatted it up and thought of some ideas and said, well, let's have a meeting. Now, as a service club, you know how this goes. You have a great idea, you have a meeting, and 3 people show up, and you say, well, that wasn't such a great idea, and you all go home and do something different. At this meeting, 24 people showed up. We knew we were onto something. And those 24 people were all movers and shakers in our community. They were all people who were involved in service clubs, people who are active in our community, people who donate money in our community, people who do good things in our community, and they all gathered together at that first meeting and said, yeah, this is really a cool idea. Let's have a free festival for families in Longview. Now, incidentally, I had been on a citizens commission dealing with the use of parks, the utilization of parks in Longview. And at that series of meetings, it was brought to our attention that the most underutilized park in Longview is R.A. Long Park, which is kind of interesting because when the city was built, it was intended to be the center of the city. It was intended to be the place where all city activities would take place. But the way that the development of the automobile went and the development of the city, that really kind of petered out in the 30s and 40s probably. But we had this idea of closing the Civic Circle and using not only the park in the middle, but the street as well, and the library lawn. And because we had the infrastructure there with things like the Monticello Hotel, we thought, well, this really could work. And so we got a bunch of people, had a series of meetings, we talked to the city, and we are very, very fortunate to live in a city like Longview. I've lived in a number of different places, and being a lawyer, I've worked with numerous cities on numerous projects, and I have to tell you, we are very blessed to live in a city where our city works for us. They didn't say, oh boy, you have so many hurdles to jump through, I don't know about that. They said, sure, you can do that. Just tell us how we can help. And here are the forms you're going to need to fill out to get your permit. Of course, you got to have a permit. You didn't need a permit for a bridge, but you need a permit for a Squirrel Festival. And so we started filling out forms, and members of the city, employees, they came to our meeting, just showed up voluntarily and said, sure, how can we help? And they did help us. And so the first Squirrel Fest went off without a hitch 6 years ago, and it was very successful. I'm going to back up just one minute here and talk a little bit about sandbaggers. Who are the sandbaggers? Well, there's a bunch of them in the room. They're all in disguise, so I won't call them out. But you probably know we wear these very interesting and visible coats. We, over the years, have been known sort of as merry pranksters, do a lot of fun stuff in the community just to kind of poke fun at the body politic, poke fun at things that we all think don't make sense. And a couple of the things that you may remember in years past, years ago, the sandbaggers decided to make sure that Second Amendment rights were observed, and so they set up a booth to license clam guns. And then, of course, there was when Mount St. Helens was erupting, and they were very concerned it was going to erupt, and obviously there was only one solution we'd seen from Gilligan's Island, which was to throw a virgin in the volcano from an airplane. But after an exhaustive search, they were unable to find a virgin in Cowlitz County. And so what they did was they took a mannequin up instead and dumped it into the volcano. And I understand that made national news as well. Didn't stop the volcano from erupting, but sandbaggers had a lot of fun, and a lot of other people had fun as well. So from there, sandbaggers, we continue to do fun things. We have a few fun ideas in mind that you may see coming up before long. But we also have sort of adopted this additional role as civic boosters. Maybe none of you have noticed, but it seems to me that our economy has not been growing since 1988 when I got here. And the sandbaggers think that that's too bad, and that economic activity is a good thing. We're civic boosters. We want to see this place thrive and succeed. And something like Squirrel Fest, a big festival, is one small way to contribute to that. Every vendor that comes is paying sales taxes on the things they're selling. People come to town, they rent motel rooms, they buy fuel, they buy food, they buy beer in our beer garden, which helps pay for the thing. And all of that economic activity is good for us, for our community. The city of Longview has given us a grant from the tourism funds, and that's all based on what they call heads on beds. They want people to be staying in motels. Well, that's hard to quantify that. I mean, we don't, sandbaggers, at least as a group, don't go around peeking in hotel rooms. Some of the individual members might, but as a group, we don't. And so we don't know how many actual people we have coming and staying in our community, but I can tell you that when Squirrel Fest rolls around, you can't get a hotel room. It's booked solid. And so that's really good news. Those are dollars flowing into our community. And so we've gotten this tourism grant as a result of that is funded by the hotel tax. And yeah, just kick me when I'm getting to the point. I'm a lawyer, I could talk all day if he would let me. Yeah, he knows. Okay, so back to Squirrel Fest. The idea of Squirrel Fest is to have a free, fun, family festival, okay? That is a place for children and families to come, and it doesn't cost you a nickel. You don't have to pay for rides, you don't have to pay for face painting, you don't have to pay for anything. It's all free for the kids. And that is done by the miracle of sponsorship. The members that came to these meetings, as I said, are members of our service clubs, business owners, people who are movers and shakers in our community, and they went around and knocked on doors and went to our biggest employers and our biggest boosters and said, help us out. And they did. And so our sponsors have been very generous, and they've provided us with sufficient funds where we can hire world-class quality entertainment and activities for the children. Our big naming sponsor is Capstone, which is, as you know, I think our second or third largest employer in Cowlitz County. And also Rotary has partnered with us to help put this on. And then we have a number of other sponsors that are on that flyer that's going around. And so I hope you'll pay attention to that, because this is really important. These are the people who made this happen. And so what we've done year after year is we have brought in these great entertainers. One of them is Casper Baby Pants, which is this comedian clown who puts on music shows, and that draws people who've seen him in Seattle, they've seen him in Portland, they've seen him all over the place, and they bring their kids and grandkids to this show, and it's absolutely wonderful. Another outfit is called Circus Cascadia. And this is not a circus where you sit on your seat and watch the elephants go by. This is a circus where you get up and you move around. And these kids, they get to balance on balls. They learn how to juggle. They teach them how to do all these fun activities, little foot races, things like that. Get those kids moving. You know, we live in a world, in case you didn't notice, well, let me back up. When I was a kid, if you were bored, you'd sit in front of the TV, you'd go click, 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 3 channels, nothing on. And so you go outside and play. That's not the case anymore. There are so many things for kids to do inside that it's hard to even get them outside unless you've got a Pokemon Go character, you know, walking through their park. Squirrel Fest is a little bit of an antidote to that. It gets kids out there. Circus Cascadia gets them playing, gets them running, gets them doing some activities, getting some exercise, and they're just having a ball. We also have a zip line. The zip line has been so popular, we put in a second zip line this year, so there'll be 2, so the lines will be shorter. Free face painting for kids, they always love that. And all these other activities that they're teaching the kids how to do. And while they're doing all of that, they break up those sorts of things with an intermission of comedy and magic tricks and humor and songs. And it's really fun. The kids love it, and the parents love it. The parents love being able to go to somewhere for free, bring their kids and their grandkids and go down, and it's free. And they're all playing outside. But that's not all. That's the part that's free for kids. That's for families. We have vendors serving food, including your club, and also selling all sorts of other things. At Squirrel Fest, at the very first meeting, we made a decision that we were not going to have vendors who are selling cheap plastic stuff. Okay, that's not Squirrel Fest. Squirrel Fest is a local festival. We want as many local people as possible. We want things that are handmade or that are quality products that people can purchase to remind them of Squirrel Fest. And, you know, of course, we have a lot of candle makers and makeup people and stuff like that, but not the plastic, cheap plastic stuff that is common at some other places. And so then on top of that, we then have at noon, we have the unveiling of our Squirrel Bridge. You might have seen some of these Squirrel Bridges. We now have 6 of them. We have a contest each year, and the people who want to enter the contest submit their application. They must submit a drawing, and then we give them the specifications because it has to be able to withstand high winds and things like that. And if they meet those criteria, then they're awarded for their bridge, and they build their bridge. And there's a picture of one of them right there. That one, I believe, is built by Obeck Construction. That's the company that built the Washington Way Bridge. They got the contract, and then they heard about the contest, and so they said, well, we'd love to be a part of that. And so they created that very nice bridge. So now there are 6 bridges. If you go around town, you will find some of these flyers. They show the location of all the bridges and has the history of the sandbaggers on the back. And then finally, in the evening, we have live entertainment, live bands. This year it'll be the King Brothers, and then that's followed by Jeffrey Castle, an electronic violinist, and finally Edgar Winter Group, which is a rock and roll band that had a couple of huge hits back in the 70s. And then, of course, at the very end, we have the fireworks off the top of the Monticello Hotel. And this year we have 2 new things. We have a karaoke contest, and that will be starting, I believe, at 1 o'clock. And 1 o'clock, and we have 6 different venues in Cowlitz County, and each of them has become a sponsor. They are having a contest at their venue. They're selecting the top 2, and then those 2, total of 12, will come to Squirrel Fest for the Squirrel Fest finals of the karaoke contest. First prize gets $500, and so we've gotten a lot of interest in it. I see right here we've got an aspiring singer right down here.
Yeah. You might get $5.
And okay, and so finally we have the beer garden, and the beer garden, of course, is one of the ways we fund this whole project. We make quite a bit of money off the beer garden, and so it's important that people come listen to the music and come to the beer garden. This year, all activities are free except the live music. Tickets are $10. However, tickets have been given to all of the sponsors in return for their sponsorship, so you can get free tickets by going to any of our sponsors: Fiber Federal Credit Union, Child and Adolescent Clinic, Foster Farms, Columbia Ford, Subaru, and lots of others. If you look on our flyers, you'll see the sponsors. So I hope all of you will make yourselves available on the 13th in between your Relay for Life activities and come down to Squirrel Fest. Bring your children and bring your grandchildren and have a great time at Squirrel Fest. And also be sure to thank our sponsors for the work they've done for us. So I don't know if there's time for questions, but thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, Pat. And I don't know if you have one of these mugs, but we'd like to have you have this mug today. It represents your presentation and an application when you get tired of all those other organizations that you belong to. Come our way.
All right, thank you very
I
much.
thought I read somewhere or heard that there was going to be a tour of the bridges. Is there someone driving around?
Yes, the Rely Local Trolley will be providing bridge tours. Apparently because of the fuel costs and that sort of thing, they're charging for those. So if you want to get a ticket, you get that through KLOG, I think, the radio station. Pick up your tickets there. And you can ride around. They're going to go to each of the different bridges, and they'll be passing out these maps. These maps are also available at the City of Longview, right where you walk in the front door in the card rack.
Thank you, Pat.